Hello and welcome back to RWBY Is. Today we'll be discussing how RWBY is a show that shows its work rather than tells it. Or in other words, showing versus telling. And to do that we'll be going back in time to Volume 6, which has one of my favourite examples of showing versus telling. I feel that RWBY Volume 6 probably has one of the strongest shown but not told stories I've seen in quite a while, but to do that we're going to have to put everything into its proper context. So let's go back to episode 1 of volume 6, where Yang and Blake are awkward, or more trying to get things back to how they were and or make up for leaving, but aren't communicating terribly well just yet. Blake tries to help Yang with her bags, but gets saddened when Yang says she doesn't need it, but brightens when Yang says things will get back to normal and the sun literally shines in the background. Despite Yang's words, it seems that she really only falls into the groove with Blake when losing herself in the moment, like the fight where they are super in line with one another, but otherwise we see her bouncing between trying to make it work and being extremely closed off. As the story develops, we also see Blake constantly watching Yang. Seriously, she barely ever takes her eyes off Yang and is quick to jump to her defense when the Ozpin situation begins to escalate. Blake is also the first person Yang calls for when Jin transports them to the Void, and I'm fairly sure Blake called for Yang first as well. So we can see that they're trying but not quite succeeding at repairing their relationship. We can see the different ways they try to make it work, good and bad, and the effort both are putting forward on this front, even as their own insecurities gnaw at and begin undercutting them. This continues into the farm, where Blake tries to spend more time with Yang, but due to the apathy and everything else that's going on, Yang is not exactly in a great mental state, so Blake's efforts to lighten the mood fall flat. However, we also see Yang do something we scarcely ever see her do, reveal weakness. When she has the Adam flashback, we rarely see Yang reveal weakness to others unless she's been pushed to the brink, but with Blake she's comfortable laying everything out extremely openly even now. Things seem to be going well in terms of mending bridges, but when Blake says she'll protect Yang, the gently overjoyed smile Yang had at the prospect of Blake not abandoning her vanishes, and she leaves Blake confused. Clearly there is still a lot of weight to their relationship, from Blake's persistent efforts to Yang's easy vulnerability, but in setting things up for later, Blake trips up and temporarily widens the divide between them. The next day sees another evolution in their dynamic, when Blake is almost killed by the apathy, and when they escape the basement, Yang sees Blake looking back. What is the first thing Yang does? She reaches down, grabs Blake's hands, and prioritizes getting Blake out of the house first and foremost. After they escape, we also get a nice little callback with Maria describing Yang as far stronger than her and Blake looking in Yang's direction as well. After that near-death experience, we see that while there is still some awkwardness, there is also an easing of tension between them, clearly evident during the mission when Blake is more casual with Yang and chipperly promises to come back soon, and Yang is extremely relaxed and at ease in comparison to before as Blake leaves, a little microcosm, one might argue, of their mending relationship. Then, when Blake doesn't report in, Yang is shown racing to her side. We get a scene that is very similar to Volume 3's. Adam is looming over a seemingly helpless Blake, trying to guilt and scare her, but she refuses to be shamed by him, and when she hears Yang coming for her and Adam tries to stab her exactly where he did in Volume 3 to goad Yang, she escapes and affirms that she is not alone. Yang proceeds to wreck Adam's shit with Bumbleby and stand beside Blake against the man who took her arm and, despite having every reason to hate him, gives him the chance to leave them be. Instead, he tries to capitalize on her trauma, only to be undercut when Blake comes to Yang's side. Calming and affirming her, Blake shows that she now understands what upset Yang last time, as she firmly states they are protecting each other. This harkens back to Volume 5 perfectly, where Yang tearfully confessed that she wanted to be there for Blake when Blake needed her, but also that she needed Blake to be there for her. She wanted them to be there for each other, and now they are. They're finally on the same page. Blake understands how she hurt Yang, and Yang can see why Blake ran, thanks to Adam hunting her down and his rage toward them so much as looking at one another. There's no more confusion or uncertainty, there's no need for talk. All that needed to be said was shown rather than told. Thanks for your time!